Hawkeye coverage around the clock right here from the Hawkeye of the Storm, and we have our sponsors to thank for it. Iowa floor covering, first of all, and their Tough Cork Click Together 4.5 millimeter waterproof vinyl flooring. It's available at just $269 per square foot with self-installation. Visit iowafloorcovering.com/DIY. They are located right in the heart of central Iowa, down in Bondurant. Again, iowafloorcovering.com/DIY. And Ascent Nutrition. Their awesome products, including their new Agarikon mushroom, their lion's mane mushroom. All these products are available for you, the listener, at 15% off the listing price. Yes, use the code Hawkeyes at checkout for 15% off your order of these great products. Visit goascentnutrition.com and browse their awesome products that will help you, your health, your pet's health, your family's health, etc. Again, goascentnutrition.com.
You know, dare I say, the offense looks decent.
If someone would have told you, Tom, we're gonna outgain them 3-1, you would not have believed that, would you?
I would not have believed 400 yards was in on total offense. The first time they've done that since the Maryland game at Maryland a couple years ago, that they've gotten over 400 yards of total offense. First time this season that they've had a 200-yard passer. So a lot of positives for and given where the Iowa offensive line was going into this week with three guys that left the game last week, Logan Jones out fairly quickly today, and kind of shuttling some guys in on the guard position. And you know, Deontay Vines, one of their better receivers, didn't play. Given all of those things and all the hits they've taken at tight end, I'm really impressed with what they were able to do. And this Rutgers defense is pretty solid. It is not a bad defensive team. If you look at their numbers going into this week, they were on par, at least, you know, rush defense, pass defense, turnovers, sacks, all those things with the Iowa defense this year. So this was a salty group, and Iowa found something. And it's strange. I almost think that drive that resulted in the interception at the end of the first half may have given them the confidence going into the second half that we could throw the ball a little bit. We can run we can move the ball in the air. And what Deacon looks like a decent quarterback today, and that's a positive step in the right direction. Absolutely,
a lot of positive. Deacon played his best game. Obviously, Caleb was impressive. That was his coming out party. You know what was neat about the offense numbers? We outrushed them by 100 yards, and we outpassed them by 100 yards. Both of them more than 100, of course. And let's give a lot of credit to our defense again. I didn't think they were averaging about 150 yards a game in conference play, rushing the football. We held them to 34 or something? I don't know if they ever made it to 40.
Yeah, 34 yards. And Monogahee, their running back, was leading the Big Ten in rushing, and I think he had over 150 against Ohio State last week. And Iowa holds him to 39 yards rushing today, only 3 yards a carry. I mean, that's impressive that they were able to do that.
You know what made it more impressive is we didn't compromise our coverage to do that. We still played Iowa defense. You know, you didn't see us loading the box. We didn't have to. We did have a safety down a lot of the time. He was typically spinning down late. So we had one of our safeties that was headed downhill on the snap. That's true. But truthfully, our safeties didn't make that many tackles because the front seven made so many of them.
Hey, you know what? You want to know the funny thing I heard today? I was got down to the field towards the end of the game, and I'm walking by the stands, and a couple of fans started chanting "Rehire Brian."
Oh boy!
So let's open up that can 2 weeks in, Tom.
Well, right now,
I thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
I do want to ask you about Deontay Vines. You mentioned he's out. So next man in at receiver, right?
Yep.
I'll just say what everybody's thinking. Caleb Brown looked better than Deontay Vines has all year.
Yes.
Now,
I think he's earned the opportunity now.
So do you think will Deontay Vines be back? Do you anticipate him being back here in the last month of the season?
I don't know what his injury was. We didn't really ask Kirk about those guys. We had just so many other things to ask him about. So we didn't really do an injury update with him, but it sounds like he's going to get Logan Jones back. Logan went out there, tried to give it a go tonight and lasted, I think, a series, and then he was done, and Ellsbury was in there.
John, you got a good eye, because nobody else. I know people in the chat said Logan Jones didn't play today. I didn't see him play today. You did. So
he did. He started. Yeah,
I thought I saw him out there with the first possession.
First possession, and then he just couldn't go, and so they just they got him out of there, and he was done for the day. I'm looking on here. Yeah, the starting line was Nick DeYoung, Logan Jones, Dunker, Colby, Richmond. So and we saw Rusty Feth out there a little bit, so he was in there a good amount today. So he was another one of the injured guys too.
Pete Piper as well.
I did not see him in there, but I see he was listed in there, so maybe he snuck in there at some point.
Yeah, he was mentioned by the BTN crew, and I believe at left guard. I never saw him, but the name was brought up. So unless it was a misread of a number, it was.
He's listed in the participation list, so I don't know when he got out there. I didn't see him, but it doesn't mean he didn't go out there. I'm not checking the O-line every play.
Can we just, Tom, he's an example. I mean, let me make sure everybody knows this. He got here in the summer.
Yeah.
When he was a late commit. What did he commit? Was he like 230 pounds when he committed, Tom?
Yeah, he was not very big, but he could throw the shot put a long way. I always enjoy watching him, that video of him throwing it, a shot put basically almost into the woods. But yeah, he's a guy that they really like. We talked to Jennings Dunker about him on Tuesday, and he was singing his praises about how just he's a tough kid, and he's one of those farm kids that just has that farm boy strength is how I like to call it, where he can just move things and do things that just based on being raised on a farm and throwing hay bales and those sorts of things. So, yeah.
And let's give a shout out to another freshman who made a huge play, super explosive play today, in Zach Ortworth. Don, you're a former tight ends coach. Talk about that play. I wanted to bring this up later in the show. Anyways, we might as well address it now. Explain what happened. I know you haven't watched the game back on film, but explain the call there, because obviously when it works out the way it did to an unheralded guy like Ortworth, you're thinking great execution, but great play call from Brian Ferentz. Talk about that play.
Well, I did hear Shano mention that they busted the coverage there, he said. But I have to admit, as the play unfolded, I thought, how did he get so open? And it occurred to me, this is what could be done, and I wondered if maybe that's what we did. Think about this. Could you actually line up a tight end where the left tackle normally lines up next to the guard and put the tackle in on the other side of the formation? In other words, have tackles beside each other on the right side and have the tight end sneakily lined up as the left tackle. Well, if he's the end man of the line, he's still the eligible receiver, right? And I wondered, did they do that? How did he get so open? I'm still not sure if they did it or not. If they did it, I didn't catch it at the time. Of course, I'm
not about to break down formation football. What I can tell you is Addison Estringa was lined up as a fullback, and as he kind of went up and out, for maybe 5 yards up and out, both defenders followed him, and Zach Ortworth leaked. And he was lined up on the left side line. I just don't know if he was outside the left tackle or if they lined him up.
Yeah, I would imagine he was in a normal, traditional position. In other words, lined up next to the left tackle, not the left guard. But it did make me wonder, he got so open, was that what we would refer to as a hide play? Did you hide the tight end where the left tackle normally is and release him down the field? I don't think they did that, but it made me wonder, he was so open. Makes more sense, Corey, what you said. You got two tight ends releasing vertically, pretty much just a few yards apart. The outside receiver among those two breaks outside. the inside safety ran with him and left the same for the other tight end. That's probably what happened. In other words, it was actually a trips formation at that point. Go ahead, Tom.
Deacon talked about Worth on that play, and he said, I could see his eyes, and his eyes were gigantic when that ball was coming towards him, because he was like, oh no, here it comes, and I'm open, and I got to catch it.
Great throw.
I was going to say, I'm just thrilled that we did not overthrow that open tight end down the field. You might recall a couple of other passes in the game were overthrown. And here's the reality. They had decent coverage, I think, both times. But the DB was in a trail position. And in other words, the guy with the best chance to catch the overthrown ball was our receiver. My only point is, if you just take a little bit off that throw, worst case scenario, the receiver has to gear down, waiting on the ball. It's a little bit short. And in the meantime, of course, the DB that's trying to give chase and catch up runs into him. Now the flag flies. Maybe you catch it anyway and you can deny the penalty, but at the worst you get the DPI.
I've been big on Addison Estringa for quite a while, and he's our RTI Threads player of the game. Just 47 yards, but 8 receptions, and he finally looked like. I mean, he has turned into the safety blanket for Deacon Hill, and rightfully so. Tom, we haven't really talked about his connection with Deacon Hill, but I'm guessing that those two got a lot of chemistry built when Deacon was QB2. And, Addison's really come along as well, a guy who was completely unheralded and comes out of Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, and works his way into some playing time as a freshman. Now he's the number 1 tight end. I don't know if you have any update on Steven Stylianos, but man, Pascuzzi, Stylianos, and now Ortworth, they just next man in is certainly true at that position.
And there was a point where he kind of limped off, where Estringa did, and I was a little worried. I was like, "Oh my gosh, they can't afford to leak any more oil."
Yeah, and I do recall seeing Stylianos on the sideline. He was not dressed for the game either.
No, he was not dressed. So, but Estringa limped off a little bit during the game today, and was a little bit worried about that. But fun fact about Estringa was he is a former Iowa baseball commit. He was committed first to play baseball for the Hawkeyes, and came to camp, earned the offer, and decided he was going to play football. And I think that's going to probably pay off for him, because I would think that eventually he's going to develop into a potential NFL player, like a lot of Iowa tight ends. So he's got a good chemistry going on that little rollout pass that he and Deacon seem to be finding each other a lot. And it's not a big gainer at this point, but it's chipping away at 5 to 10 yards a completion. And for the Iowa offense, that's kind of what they need.